This episode is brought to you by Amazon. The holidays are here, and you know what that means? It's time to get your friends and family the gifts they deserve. Take the stress out of shopping with Amazon's great deals and low prices on a huge range of items from toys to tech and much more. Whoever you're gifting for, Amazon has great prices on everything you need this holiday season. Shop Amazon for all your gifting needs.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 1.
My fellow Americans, welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the United States. The phone number is 877-973-7425 should you wish to be on the program. As always, you can text Eric to 33777. Get the show notes, the live stream, the podcast, so much more. I would be delighted to have you. Now, I got to go back to a story from yesterday as we begin the show today because there are some updates to something that I actually think probably is the story we need to pay the most attention to. This is the ProPublica story that has been well covered by a lot of the press and is a blatant misrepresentation of the fetal heartbeat law in Georgia. And the moral of the story here is it shows how interconnected and collaborative the press and the Democrats are in seeding stories. Now, this has always been the case, but it was less noticeable when there were only three networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC, and PBS. Nowadays, there's a massive level of collaboration as ProPublica, a left-wing outlet, seeds a story and blatantly obfuscates what's actually happening. But the bigger issue here is that Republicans are always accused of lying even when they tell the truth. Democrats very often get to lie, and it's treated as the truth. And in this particular case, progressive lies have cost a woman her life. And it's the Republicans who are getting blamed. I want to begin with this from CNN. You got to hear it to believe it.
Campaign. I see in the article that a spokesperson for the Republican Governor, Brian Kemp, called the reporting kind of labeled as a fear-mongering campaign. Talk to me about that.
Well, I just think it's ironic. They also used that word fear-mongering 2 weeks before Amber Thurman died, when advocates, doctors went to court to stop the state's abortion ban and said women would suffer, women would die. They said that's fear-mongering. Two weeks later, Amber Thurman died. I also think it's ironic that this is a state board that ruled both deaths preventable, right, that answers to ultimately the governor.
That's exactly right. And that's where some of the sourcing is coming from that you guys, as you dug into it. And I want to read one paragraph from your reporting on Amber Thurman that gets to, it's like an additional pain that is brought upon this family, even beyond her death, which is this. For years, all Thurman's family had was a death certificate that said she died of septic shock and retained products of conception, a rare description that had previously only appeared once in Georgia death records over the last 15 years, ProPublica found. The family learned Thurman's case had been reviewed and deemed preventable from ProPublica's reporting.
This is Kate Baldwin at CNN with a progressive reporter from ProPublica perpetuating the lie that got this woman killed. The blood is actually on their hands, not the hands of Republicans in Georgia. You need to understand this. What is the fear-mongering that they were talking about at the beginning? The fear-mongering that the Republicans said would happen. The talking point from progressives was that if Georgia's law passed, people wouldn't be able to get abortions in the state. They wouldn't be able to get treatment for ectopic pregnancies, and they wouldn't be able to have a D&C. They wouldn't be able to have any of these sorts of things. None of that was true. The law in Georgia is actually very clear. In fact, Patricia Murphy is a writer at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution who the other day essentially said the law's not working the way the Republicans said it would. It needs to be less ambiguous. It's not actually an ambiguous law. What's actually happening is that reporters, and progressive activists, but I repeat myself, have lied so much about the law. People like this woman, Ms. Thurman, believed the lies from the left. They believed the fear-mongering. It's very clear in the record now from ProPublica's own reporting that this lady believed she wouldn't be able to get a D&C in Georgia after she went to North Carolina to have an abortion. She couldn't make it in time for her appointment due to traffic, so they gave her the abortion drugs. She took one of the pills there and was supposed to take a second pill at home, which she did. It partially aborted the child, but there were remnants of the fetal tissue that remained. It caused pain and bleeding and other things, and apparently she was convinced they would not give her a D&C, not because of the law, but because of the lies told by the left. And so she delayed treatment. She got sepsis. She wound up dying. The law did not cause her to die. The lies told by progressives and by reporters at CNN and in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and in the Washington Post and in the New York Times and among progressive activists and among Democratic politicians, those lies got this lady killed. She believed their lies. The law had nothing to do with it, but they can't admit it was their lies, so they must blame Brian Kemp and the laws of the state of Georgia. The law of the state of Georgia was actually very clear. Contrary to the opinion writers at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the law is extremely clear. If a child has a heartbeat, the child cannot be aborted. If it's an ectopic pregnancy, if it's a medical emergency, and ectopic pregnancies, among other things, are listed as emergencies in the law, then you can have an abortive procedure. You can have a D&C. In this case, there was no heartbeat, so obviously a procedure could be done. But the lady believed the lies, and so now they're like, oh, the law's ambiguous. The law is not ambiguous. You lied. CNN, you lied, and a lady died. And I do want to say to CNN, which still has operations in Atlanta where I'm broadcasting from, and I know a lot of reporters listen to me. Your coverage helped cause this lady's death, not the law, because you lied not only about the law, you lied about the drug. You at CNN, your reporters lied. Do you know that the drugs they give, the abortifacient drugs, 1 in 300 people who take them have serious complications, including death? One of the talking points has been that the drug's as safe as Tylenol. If 1 in 300 people were dying from Tylenol, would you take Tylenol? If 1 in 300 people died from Advil, would you take Advil? In fact, what happened is that the FDA strictly regulated these medicines until Obama came into office and progressive lobbyists freed it up. In fact, prior to Obama, you couldn't even take these drugs if you were more than 7 weeks pregnant. But Obama increased the term and made it more widely available. At a 9-week pregnancy, it's actually fairly common for this drug to cause parts of fetal tissue to be left behind, requiring a D&C. Now you add the lie spread by, hello, if there's anyone from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution listening right now, I want you to know your lies actually contributed to this woman's death because your reporters also claimed the law could prohibit, or that, opponents of the law say, you didn't want to say it yourselves, you used opponents of the law say this could happen. And this woman clearly believed the lies, but now you're blaming Brian Kemp and you're blaming the Republicans, you're blaming the law, because God forbid reporters ever blame themselves for helping seed lies to the public. The people at CNN, the reporters at CNN, Kate Baldwin at CNN, in this reporting, the fear-mongering that she's talking about was the fear-mongering where Republicans said the law is very clear. You can get a D&C. If you have an ectopic pregnancy, you can have an abortion. The law is very clear. And the Democrats and progressives said, no, it's not. No, it's not. Women could die because they won't be able to have an abortion. The lies. This woman believed the lie. She waited a long time to go to the hospital. She wound up dying. That was not the law. The law was crystal clear. It was the lies that she believed that delayed her going to the hospital. And you people on the left, you people at CNN, you people at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, her blood is actually on your hands, not Brian Kemp's hands. Her death is actually on your lies that you help perpetuate, not on the law. But you'll never hold yourselves accountable. I know that. You're upset about J.D. Vance and the stupid story about the pets in Springfield, Ohio. And you're willing to say J.D. Vance seeding the story caused the hoaxes at the schools. You yourselves convinced a woman that she shouldn't go to the hospital to get treated with a D&C after abortion pills. Your reporting, you people in the press, your reporting on the abortion bill made people think it was actually very safe, when actually 1 in 300 people who take it have serious complications, including death. If 1 in 300 people in America were dying because of Tylenol, you know damn well, you people at CNN, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the New York Times, you'd be beside yourselves demanding the government pull the medicine from the shelves. But because this is abortion and you people worship at the cult of abortion, you decided to say 1 in 300 people, that's not much at all. It's insignificant. This medicine is as safe as Tylenol. Your lies did this. And I want to be very, very specific about the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Here in my city, Atlanta, Georgia, helped perpetuate the lies. Kamala Harris has helped perpetuate the lies. CNN has helped perpetuate the lies. The New York Times has helped perpetuate the lies. And a woman has died because of it, and their response is to blame the Republicans, not themselves. You people want to lecture the rest of us on truth, misinformation, and disinformation, and you are the ones who seeded the misinformation and the disinformation. You are the ones who perpetuated it because you wanted the fear campaign. You wanted the fear-mongering because you hoped it would kill the legislation. And when it didn't kill the legislation, you hoped if you continued to perpetuate the fear-mongering that you could actually do damage to the Republicans. Instead, what you've done damage to is women's health. And you can't hold yourselves accountable because you are arrogant. You can't hold yourselves accountable because abortion trumps everything else. You can't hold yourself accountable because your hatred of Republicans has allowed you to perpetuate the lies. This woman died, and your reaction is to say it's the Republicans' fault. The Republicans were very honest about what the law did. The Republicans were very honest about the treatments covered under the law. The Republicans were very honest about the treatment you could get under the law. And what did you do? You continue to do broad coverage of some critics say that actually the law wouldn't allow this. This progressive, pro-abortion doctor actually says that's not true. Who should we believe? The people who wrote the law or the doctor who's pushing a pro-abortion agenda? A woman's dead. More women are going to die. It's not going to be because of the law. Because the law is very clear. Ectopic pregnancies, you can have an abortion. D&Cs, perfectly fine. The law is very clear. What is not clear is the muddied waters you people in the press pursued to scare people about the legislation. And that muddied water that you pursued and the talking point to the left are what got this woman killed. ProPublica, her blood's on your hands. You, again, are one of the outlets that continue to lie about this and fearmonger about this, and you're scaring women out of getting treatment at the hospital. It's not the law that's the problem. It's the way you arrogant people in the press have decided that abortion trumps everything, Republicans are terrible, and you will lie and obfuscate and scare people out of getting medical treatment so that you can then have those people die and run the salacious stories to attack the Republicans and attack people like Brian Kemp. I want you people at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, CNN, the New York Times, ProPublica, the Democratic Party, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, I want you all to understand that while you sleep at night blaming Brian Kemp and the Republicans in Georgia for this woman's death, it was actually your lies that did it because she believed your lies. And when you sleep well at night saying, oh, Erickson's just a partisan hack, I want you to understand something else. There will come a final day, whether you believe it or not, and you will stand in judgment before your Creator. And he will remember the lies that you told, and he will remember you did it to advance a partisan agenda. And you will be held accountable, not by me, not by anyone else, but by the divine God Almighty, because your lies cost a woman her life, and you can't accept the blame for your false reporting, your misreporting, and your disinformation. You would rather blame Republicans to score partisan points. That will be remembered. Okay, I got to tell you, I love this story because of just the virtue signaling of it. Democrats these days love to virtue signal. So Warren Buffett lives in Omaha, Nebraska. Does not actually live in a super fancy house in Omaha, Nebraska. This nice suburban area. His neighbors, they're all in the 2nd Congressional District. That congressional district leans left. They call themselves independent. They're actually pretty progressive in that one little district in Omaha. In fact, in Nebraska, they break out their electoral college votes, so each congressional district has its own points, and there's a movement afoot to reunite it, so if you win Nebraska, you win all of his electoral college votes instead of like one vote going away in the 2nd Congressional District. Well, the neighborhood has decided to put out signs, just a white sign with a blue dot. A blue dot. It's a way of saying the Democrats live in this part of Nebraska. And they're really hoping Warren Buffett will put one in his yard. His daughter has 2. These signs. You know, the virtue signaling on all this, everybody's got to have a billboard in their yard now. You know, that in this house we believe love is love and hate has no home, and we believe in science except when it comes to gender. Now they got to put a blue dot in their yard just so people know we're one of the righteous. It really is kind of funny to me that this whole virtue signaling of the we're not alone stuff. I don't understand. Like, I don't put bumper stickers on my car. I don't put signs in my yard. I refuse to put a virtue signal sign in my yard. Put a bumper sticker. I don't even put a bumper sticker on my car for my kids' school. Who cares? I don't understand the people who've got to have bumper stickers over to define yourself. Live your life and live by example, and people will get to know who you are. This I must show that I am one of the righteous. I must put a sign in my yard. No. But they sure are. They're whipped into frenzy, and they want validation by having Warren Buffett put one in his yard. Tells you everything you need to know about these people, how shallow they are. Now, and also how they've made religion their god. Instead of putting blood above the threshold of their door, no, they got to put a blue dot in their yard so that Trump might pass over them. Now, I got to tell you about Hillsdale College. They would love to have a relationship with you. If you go to ericforhillsdale.com, ERICK, ericforhillsdale.com, you, my friends, can sign up with Hillsdale College. And in the process, you can get great things for free, like Imprimis. You get Imprimis, you can get the Hillsdale College Podcast Network in your favorite podcasting app. Just look for it. You can get their lecture series on citizenship, on the early constitutional republic and the Constitutional Convention. You get it all. And no cost to you, because Hillsdale College has had this mission since the 1800s to deliver education, not indoctrination, to the United States. They do it K through 12 and college as well. All you have to do is go to Eric, ERICK, ericforhillsdale.com. Start your relationship with Hillsdale College today. Get Imprimis delivered to your mailbox for free. Get the podcast network for free. All you do, go to Eric, ERICK, ericforhillsdale.com. Start a great relationship with Hillsdale College today. ericforhillsdale.com. Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. I need to take you in the Wayback Machine, but not that far back. Just to last week. To what day last week was it? It was last Friday, so almost a week ago. Pretty much a week ago. I want to read for you something that I wrote then. Dear Mr. Trump, I have maintained that were the election held today, you would win the election. Kamala Harris is just an extension of the deeply unpopular Biden-Harris administration. A majority of Americans do not like you, but they prefer your administration's policies. The electorate is angry and frustrated. An angry and frustrated electorate does not preserve the status quo, which is Ms. Harris. For the next 50 days, you need to skip the national press. Go instead to Springfield, Ohio. Spend time with WHIO, the highly regarded TV station there. Forget the rumors of people eating pets. Just remind people that Kamala Harris has been on the job for 3.5 years and has not done anything she says she will do in the future. Talk about the high cost of groceries. Talk about the city being overwhelmed with immigrants. Highlight the issue, then hit the road. Go to middle American cities and swing states and spend time with the local stations. I wrote that a week ago. Donald Trump is going to Springfield, Ohio. He's going to go talk to people about the actual issues. He's also going to go to Aurora, Colorado, and talk about the gangs taking over the apartment complex there.
I'm going to Springfield and I'm going to Aurora. You may never see me again, but that's okay. Got to do what I got to do. Whatever happens, I'm going to Springfield and I'm going to...
There you go. He's going to Springfield, going to a may never see him again. He might get eaten by the Haitians. You never know. But he's going. Now, what's so funny to me is that the city manager in Springfield, Ohio, and the mayor, they're like, please don't come here. We're going to be overwhelmed. We don't have the resources. Why exactly are they going to be overwhelmed without resources for a former president of the United States to come through? Because the immigrants have taxed the capacity of the city. This is good. This is good, Trump. This is the sort of stuff he needs to do. Now, avoid the cats and dogs. He's not going to be, let's just be honest here, he's not going to be able to not make a crack about the pets being eaten in Springfield, but that's okay, as long as he focuses on the larger issue. They are overwhelmed, and he can say, they told us not to come because they're overwhelmed. Why are they overwhelmed? They're overwhelmed because of all these immigrants that have been dropped on a city in just a couple of years. They're going to be overwhelmed. Scott Jennings was on CNN the other night, and he was deeply frustrated by the unwillingness of so many people in the press and in the Democratic Party to even be willing to acknowledge how cities are overwhelmed and flooded. And they did not want to give him a word edgewise when it came to talking about that particular issue on CNN. It's Hillary Rosen, who's fantastic. I disagree. Look, I disagree with Hillary. Again, she and I have a cordial relationship. I don't think there's an issue she and I see eye to eye on. But I noticed that she was just unwilling to acknowledge that there was a problem. And time again, when this issue comes up, what happens is the Democrats out there are like, oh, we can't talk about this issue. Donald Trump's lying. He's gonna harm people. He's gonna get people killed. And it's like, why can't you talk about the issue? Why can't you talk about just the amount of people being airdropped into a city? 20,000 people. Listen to some of this exchange.
I do think it's an important conversation. How are they here legally? Because of executive action on immigration. I don't believe it is an attack on immigrants.
Are you saying they don't have a right to, they shouldn't be here when they're essentially saving the town?
Do you know what temporary protected status is, and do you not agree with it?
No, I think most Republicans do not believe that the executive branch or the officers of it should be able to wave what J.D. Vance correctly calls a magic wand so people can circumvent the normal immigration process.
You have the mayor and the governor saying that these businesses needed workers.
Temporary protected status has been around for a long time.
Ohio businesses needed workers.
Listen, most Americans think we need less immigration, not more. Most Americans think we need a process, and there is a legitimate...
Those two things are true.
There is a legitimate conversation to be had about how cities on the border, in Ohio, in New York, and everywhere else are being expected to absorb large populations. That doesn't mean the populations are inherently bad, or the people are inherently bad, or that they don't provide value.
But he's saying they're inherently bad, and that's the point.
But when you put huge numbers of people in communities and they begin to have impacts on the policing system, the healthcare system, the roads, whatever, the school, whatever it is, and then you just say to the communities, good luck. I think Americans have a right to a debate about this, and this is what the Democrats don't want to have.
Exactly. Well said, Scott Jennings. Exactly. The Democrats don't want to have the debate. They want to call you a racist. They want to call you a racist. This is where Donald Trump needs to put the spotlight because it's happening across the country. The amount of people who are being dropped in, and now we know, by the way, we know from whistleblowers that one of the things the Biden administration did was they started reclassifying illegal aliens coming into this country to try to reduce the numbers of illegal aliens crossing. So they revised it in such a way that it made it look like less illegal aliens were coming. They were still coming. They just reclassified the people who were coming. It's a real issue. There was a whistleblower, a former ICE official who testified in Congress just the other day saying that he was specifically instructed. He wasn't allowed to talk about the numbers. He wasn't allowed to because the Democrats have engaged in a cover-up. Now, here's the other thing. This gets back to my earlier point on the media and the blood on their hands carrying water for the left on the lies about abortion and fetal heartbeat laws in Georgia. They've lied about this as well. If a Republican were rearranging the data and obfuscating the data on immigration, the media would hold them accountable. But so much of the coverage of the press is about stopping Donald Trump. He is their existential threat. They will destroy their own credibility to stop Donald Trump. If Donald Trump were engaging in this sort of cover-up, the media would call him out immediately. In a heartbeat, they would call him out. But because it's Joe Biden who's engaged in this cover-up, this obfuscation, this rigging of the data, he gets a pass. He gets a pass. A mother in Georgia in her 20s was killed the other day in a car crash with an illegal alien who was driving drunk in a souped-up Dodge Charger. And, you know, I need to bring this back up because I'm pulling up this story. Give me a second. Yep. Mother of 3 killed. 1-year-old critically injured. Head-on DUI crash. The Dodge Charger was a red-eye edition. A souped-up Dodge Charger, red-eye edition, tends to cost, well, I'm looking right now, Kelley Blue Book, $95,000 for a new Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat red-eye. $95,000. This was a Charger edition, a souped-up 797 horsepower. That's a very expensive car. A used 2022 is $79,000 right now. It's a very expensive car. How did an illegal immigrant who had a hold from Immigration and Customs have a car that expensive? Let's say though, let's just for the sake of argument, let's say the car was $40,000. How did an illegal immigrant in the United States with a hold from ICE have a $40,000 car? Given the model, it's probably much more expensive than that. Had a hold. ICE was looking for the guy. DUI car chase in Rome, Georgia. 2 women killed, a 1-year-old critically injured. One of the women killed had 3 children. This is happening around the country. And what the Biden administration has decided to do instead of dealing with the problem is they've told ICE agents, you're not allowed to talk about the data. And then through the Border Patrol app, they've allowed people to come into the country in ways that then bypass being classified as an illegal alien released into the country. And it makes it look like their numbers have gone down. And now, you know, what they're this is a conversation between Ron Brownstein and Jessica Yellen at the Atlantic Festival. This is their latest spin on we can't get rid of the illegals now that they're here.
With that, there's been a lot of debate about whether that would relieve pressure on prices or removing that many workers, particularly from agricultural and construction. What would that mean, in your view, for inflation?
Well, I think it would raise inflation. These workers have contributed to America's ability to produce more goods, including agricultural goods. And this influx we've seen since the pandemic, and it's not only through immigration, it's also we're seeing the highest labor force participation on record for adult women. The influx of workers into the labor market is something that's helped to bring down inflation and create a lot of jobs.
You got that? Now, we can't actually get rid of the illegal immigrants in this country because they're helping bring down inflation now. So are you acknowledging that that was actually your plan, that was your intention, that that's how you decided to beat inflation, was to bring in illegal aliens? With that sort of spin, you know, it is actually increasingly obvious that it means that they have no intention of ever getting rid of these people. In fact, they have no intention of closing the border. That was their plan. Janet Yellen essentially admitting that Biden's way of bringing down inflation was allowing mass illegal immigration into this country, including the gang members, including the cartels, including the human traffickers. It's what they wanted to do. And now that they're here, they're like, oh, we can't mass deport. That would be cruel. That would cause inflation. Why can we not get out of this country the illegal aliens that aren't supposed to be here in the first place? The Democrats refuse to answer that. This is an issue so ripe for campaigning on. Forget the cats and dogs. This is the issue. This is the issue. And the Democrats, frankly, should be hanged on their own words that, no, we can't get rid of the illegal immigrants. It would be bad for our economy. It's bad for our economy that they're here to begin with. Americans for Prosperity has common sense conservative solutions to secure the border and to remove the illegal aliens in an orderly manner from this country without wrecking the economy. It's common sense conservative solutions from Americans for Prosperity. You can sign up with them, join their chapters, or they've got chapters in every state. Go to americansforprosperity.org/volunteer. They'll give you the information to be the most informed member of your circle of friends. They'll give you the great conservative free market information to talk to your local government or your state government about advancing freedom for families in this country, for helping small businesses. They'll make you an activist, a very credible activist, where you'll be able to go door to door to your neighbors and convince them common sense conservatism is right for them. You'll get them. You'll even teach how to register people to vote. They've got chapters in almost every state. They're the largest leading grassroots activist in the group in the country. All you have to do is go to americansforprosperity.org/Eric. Americansforprosperity.org americansforprosperity.org/volunteer, not Eric. Americansforprosperity.org/volunteer. Sign up with them. Get involved as we fight for free markets, free people, and freedom in this country. Welcome. This hour of the program brought to you by First Liberty Building and Loan. If you need a loan for your business, and what sort of loan? We're talking about a heavy equipment loan. You're buying a franchise. You're buying out a business partner or competitor. That's the sort of things First Liberty does. They've been making their own decisions since the 90s, and they help businesses in all 50 states, and they're willing to consider helping your business. All you need to do is go to firstlibertyga.com, firstlibertyga.com, and check them out, get their contact info. Just spend a little bit with them. Tell them I sent you. firstlibertyga.com. All right, I got to follow up on what is being called by this particular thread Operation Grim Beeper. Oh my gosh, the names write themselves. So here's something I didn't know. But now, and I see other military experts confirming this as well, that maiming the Hezbollah operatives was actually preferable to killing them all, because killing them allows efficiency of resources for Hezbollah. They're dead. You don't need to worry about taking care of them. You don't need to worry about trying to get them back in. You just go find more people. With the dead, you got to wait, assess, take care of them or cut them off, let them go. That could cause grievances. It becomes much more complicating to have them maimed and have to take care of them than to have them dead and be able to move on. And my goodness, yeah. So the mass maiming of Hezbollah is actually an interesting side effect of this, but also the level of intrigue by Israel in all the component parts. So think about this. We now know that the organization from which Hezbollah procured the pagers was an Israeli shell company run out of Hungary that produced the parts in Taiwan. So Israel controlled Hezbollah's supply chain, and Hezbollah did not even know it. That's just remarkable. It was extremely well targeted, and we've still got people on the left outraged by it, that Israel was able to pull it off. How dare they? It's also probably going to sow a lot of distrust between Hezbollah and the Iranian leadership that funds it, given the fact that, well, Hezbollah made a sloppy choice in who its pagers came from. And if the pagers ran through Iran, as a number of press reports have claimed, then it's going to plant doubt in the minds of the Lebanese leadership about the reliability of the Iranian systems. Because remember, the old leader of Hamas got blown up in Tehran. So if Israel has compromised Iran that much, it's going to compromise Hezbollah's trust in Iran. It just the complete disintegration of the Hezbollah operation there. They've even, like the leader of Hezbollah has now admitted that Israel has critically wounded Hezbollah and has the upper hand right now. Now, the Americans are freaking out. Does this mean Israel's going to invade Lebanon now? Actually, what the Israeli sources are saying is that, no, this is Hezbollah has launched thousands of rockets since October 8th of last year, forcing 70,000 Israelis out of their homes to be refugees in southern Israel. They want to be able to go home. So you stop firing the rockets now and call it a day. But Hezbollah, I don't know that they're capable of doing that. I don't know if they're capable of doing anything at this point. Operation Grim Beeper turns out to have been a great success. When we come back, we got to talk politics, raw politics. It is a tied race out there between Harris and Trump. I'll bring you the latest details.